Two things came from shopping yesterday after I uploaded my video. First was the PoE injector. So I've got that cabled in there, I just need to have the line run to the camera. Now I'll run a temporary line just to figure out where I'm going to position the camera out there, and I've got to look at whether the hole up there that cable goes through has got enough space to squeeze the next cable through, or whether I need to bore another hole. But that was one thing that came. The other thing that came was the replacement pressure switch for the air compressor. So I'm going to head over to the shed, see what's involved in replacing this, and bring back ladder and necessary equipment for installing the camera. The compressor's still holding pressure from the other day, since I fixed up one end of that curly tube, so I guess the other end wasn't cracked. And I was just thinking about the one end apparently, and then it got worse. Yeah, so that bit's fixed, so now I've got to unplug all the bits and pieces and put that up to the bench to work on it. I really wish the guys had at least made minimal effort to keep this away from the paint when they were spray painting. I made sure they had long enough pressure tubes on it to be able to keep it at least 5 meters away from the paint, but as ever I was ignored. They'd make it easier if they at least use consistent sized hexes on their fittings, but so far pressure gauge, what's that? That's a 15mm open-ended spanner. Pressure gauge 9/16 open-ended. Quick coupler 19mm open-ended. The pressure line here, pressure switch activation line 12mm open-ended, and now I need a 20 or 21 for this, and I've got up to 32, but I go from 24 up to 32 and from about 8 up to 19, so I don't have a 20/21, so I'm going to have to get a bit brutal and use this guy, but I can do that. These two pressure switches aren't quite identical. The gland nuts are different sizes, like this one will just slip straight in. So I couldn't just leave the gland nuts on and screw them into the new one. I had to actually take them off, and well, I haven't taken this one off yet, but I've got to pull that off over the end and put the replacement one on. But I'll do that after I've got this thing seated down. Before I do that even, I might clean some of this crud off the front while I've got access to it. Nothing's ever as easy as it should be. I was hoping to reuse the pressure tube that supplies the pressure to the switch, so I could just screw that nut on to the new fitting. However, as can be seen with the new nut and the old fitting, different size, so I can't do that, which means I would have to remove that and get the olive on there, and I don't see how I could do that. So I think what I've got to try and do is remove the bottom section from the top section and see whether I can just transfer this old bottom section across to the new top section. But I'm getting hot, so I need to go and cool down before I resume with that. Okay, I'm back after lunch the same day. Now, the part I'm looking at here, this is the original one. So I'm thinking it looks like this bit can be unscrewed and replaced on the other part of the structure. So if I unbolt this one from the bottom, I can take this bit off, and swap this one on there. Hopefully that's not the bit that's stuffed, because that would then mean it was all for naught. So I will proceed and have a suck it and see. I think the only way this has got a chance of working is if I have swapped this module onto the new switch block from the old pressure switch. So I'm going to assemble it all and see if it's any better than it was before, but I'm currently in meltdown, as can be seen by the trail of sweat, so it's time to go back and cool off again. I couldn't do it. I had to get myself at least to a stage where I knew I hadn't made it worse. So I've put it back on, applied power, and it ran. So that's a good start. After I go away and cool down, I will come back and put those 3 fittings back on and see whether we actually get to the point where the pressure switch works. Couldn't help myself, still sweating, had to know. Nothing wrong now. Woohoo! Pressure switch worked. So if I release a bit of pressure, well, job's right. What I'll do is I will let it pressure up, disconnect the power, and come back and see whether you still have pressure when I come back, because I mightn't have got these too well sealed. Yeah, so I'll disconnect power now. So you see the gauge is just about upside down. I think I can adjust that by putting a different amount of Teflon tape on it so that I can clock it. It's stopped a bit earlier. But for now, wish they didn't have the paint on it. We have just over 90 psi. So we'll see what we got when we come back. Might be in for an afternoon thunderstorm by the look of this. Looking a bit dark. Well, it's an hour or so later and the pressure has bled down to 0, so I guess I've got leaks. Well, that's back in service and I've cleaned up my tools. Just got this left over, which has got dud switch. Possibly okay part here, but it doesn't have fittings I can match. So tempted to just chuck that one and recycle. And over here we have a compressor with the pressure gauge clocked probably 10 degrees off, but it's close enough, and new pressure switch on top, or semi-new pressure switch on top, the one that actually works. So I shall leave it at that. The only downside of this new pressure switch is that this is the on-off switch, and these are actually quite hard, stiff to operate, but that'll do. It's okay. Yeah, I'm not going to go on with doing the camera at the back door today. It's almost 3 o'clock, so it's almost knock-off time, and I'm hot enough. Yeah, so I'm happy with today's effort. If it's not at the back door, it's clogging the walkway beside the house. And what I'd really like to do is put a post in the middle of the walkway up there to prevent scooters coming in, but Asra also sometimes brings one in and parks on his front veranda here, so can't quite do that. But it's tempting. Well, I'm back the next day and it hasn't held the pressure, so the obvious thing to do is pump it up and get the spray bottle or soapy water and look for leaks. But the leak's low enough that I'm not actually bothered with it. I'll think about it further. What I'm really over here for is grab some supplies for camera at the back door. Well, I won't. 3 boxes of UTP cable there. I'll grab one of those, grab a ladder, grab some clamps so I can mock the camera up in the right position and try it. Yeah, well, more ladder. I did a mock-up mount on the front wall over there, and that looks pretty good. So if I screw that to the wall just above that vent and then run Ethernet cable around here, it will be good. So now I know. I shall dismount my mock-up and proceed with doing the real thing. Well, I got the camera mounted. Now I just have to manipulate the all the different hinges so I can point it in the right direction. That might take a while. I don't think they're standard Phillips head screws, that the adjustment there. I think I saw a Torx and a triangular one, so I'll see whether I can fudge it. That looks about right. And I want to adjust it a bit more later. Now I've got to look at how I can route a cable to it. Well, I had all the gear here. I thought, okay, I'll make a couple of shorter cables. I've got shorter cables connecting the fibre optic thing to the router, and the router back to the PoE injector. I had long ones coiled up there before. So that's a good start. Now the next step after lunch is to bring that box inside and see if I can poke the cable through that hole up there. Or if I see if I have to make a newer hole. Well, that's handy. The hole did have enough space for this additional cable, so it's come through to this other side here. So I just have to push it enough through that I can route it up and across and around, and somehow or other get over there. Well, Dad happened to be wandering past, so he ran the cable up and across and over there. I put a new end on it, and it's operational. All we got to do now is coil up the excess at this end. And there's the view from that camera at our back door from Lizu, just above Lizu's power meter. I'll put that ladder away now. But that gets us coverage that we were lacking, because there's a camera at the end of that passage there pointing back this way, but that doesn't see very much at that range. I did want to put this camera on the DVR in place of the one that looked at the front of the shed, but unfortunately the DVR doesn't want to speak to this camera, which is puzzling. I shall play with it more, but if necessary I'll just leave it as is. The difference is, it means that we can't view this camera when we're away from the premises, because the DVR is accessible from outside and all its cameras. Oops, that wasn't what I wanted to do. To size change. Get back from the primary screen back across to here. And reconnect to the one at the southeast corner. Come on. That's it. Right. So what I wanted to do was take that camera and put it there on the DVR, but the DVR doesn't like that. And that's the one on the tank stand, so next time Dad goes past, I'll ask him to go up there and unplug that and plug it back in and see if that fixes that issue. But yeah, now I've got 15 cameras until the 16th one is fixed. Am I a spider in my lair? Yes, I am. There's a jambu tree much bigger than Jubaedah's, so it must be fun trying to harvest those. but the chooks are happy to take what falls on the ground. In a previous video, I think I might have measured up for a house for Bendy that we're looking at building next year, and we already have lots and lots of bricks for it. So I've been designing busily, trying to figure out windows at the moment. We either go with wooden frame windows or aluminium frame windows, and the wooden frame windows I think would work out more expensive because there'd be more of them. Apparently they're much the same price but per window, so go with less aluminium ones I think. And I'm drawing up a couple alternate diagrams to drawings to see what Jubaedah thinks. There's a big pile of bricks already, several thousand. Oh, the pile's growing again out the back of the rice factory, but by the look of the tops of those fences there, they've cleaned the mess from the other side, so that's good. So those bricks I showed you yesterday were for Bendy's house. So this is my one version of my design where it's got the Indonesian style windows, where they got the wooden inserts of the vents above them, and yeah, and lots of those required. This design, if I look at it from the north side, which will be the side facing the rice drying area down at the rice factory, you can see that. So bedroom, that's the main bedroom, that actually has a door out into a laundry area. So if we start from the west end, we have a laundry area here which has actually got its own toilet, which is sort of like almost like having an ensuite for the main bedroom here, because two toilets is always a good thing when there's more than one person living in a house, because they're bound to need it at the same time. That's the well for water. That will probably be constructed soon, because that's something they can do now, and that will then give them water supply for during construction of the house. So this is sort of a skillion at the west end. I added this after saying, okay, the main bedroom's got to be this end because the west wall is going to cop a lot of sun, and that would make that bedroom very hot. So I thought, okay, well if I tack this on the end and make that scooter storage area, then we can use it for laundry. And then Jubaedah said, need a second toilet? Okay, put the toilet up the end there. Every one of these rooms is going to have a drain in the corner, so you can just wash the floors down and sweep the water into the drain in the corner. So bedroom, lounge room, which is, so that's 4 metres by 4 metres, that's 4 metres by 6 metres. Has a door from the bedroom, just an opening into the foyer here, don't need a door there, and have that maximum width. Kitchen, I've got the dimensions on these things, so that says 4.2 metres along that wall from wall to wall. And I actually put an aluminium framed window in the kitchen because I don't really want wood there anyway. And figured we can construct a sort of range hood there. That's the lower platform for the gas bottles, for the gas cooker. We can do a sort of a range hood type thing there and use that 6-inch axial blower that I was looking to get for other purposes, but then I realised it'd be good for this purpose. And I got that ducting, which we can add some louver outlet type thing, so we can blow that out through the wall. Over the top of these shelves, and underneath these shelves, oops, I need to go forward a bit, have another power outlet and a switch, and that switch is for the power outlet up there that the blower plugs into. Good sturdy benches, so 6 power outlets so far, and then have a fridge alcove there with a power outlet near it. Might have to think about that one, because that may have to be, I'll have to look at how long the power leads are on the standard fridge around here, because maybe that would have to be lower for the fridge power lead to reach. Floor is stepped down a bit, so any sort of floods or anything in the kitchen are drained to the kitchen, and there's actually a drain in the floor over in that corner. Front doors, double doors to make it easy to get big things in and out. So that's 1.2 metres wide. That gap there in the kitchen is 3 metres wide there, because it's 4.2 metres overall, but the 600mm of benches either end. So 1.2 metre wide front double door and 1.2 metres there, so you can get something 1.2 metres wide into the lounge room. Bathroom with a toilet and a big water tub there, because they like that in their bathrooms here. Drain in the corner over there. Vents all over, but the idea there is that vents all the way through, so you can get flow through ventilation. And then the room at this end is either another bedroom or a workshop. So put a big sliding door on the end of it there, so that you can run scooters up into there to work on them. That's 4x4 metres, just like the one at the main bedroom at the far end. If later on you decide to make this into a bedroom, just brick up that wall there, and job's right. Now this was the version using the wooden Indonesian style windows, and I thought, well Jesus, a lot of those. There's got to be a better way. And then Jubaedah told me that Asra said that wooden windows and aluminium windows all cost much the same. So okay, if we go with a design having less windows, so instead of having 4 in the bedroom, it's just a 2 metre wide by 1 metre high window, sliding panes both ends. Lounge room 1.5 metres high, 2 metres wide. Kitchen unchanged, and you'll see that instead of having the wooden inserts, just go with the hang on, I gotta get my tool. Just go with the through the wall type vents. That can just be done with brickwork. So changes from the other diagram, other design is just the reduced number of windows. I've added opaque windows, sorry, yeah, I guess you can call them opaque in that you can't see through them, but the idea is to get some light in past there into this side of the kitchen. and I added a window to the bathroom there. Again, smoked glass or frosted glass or some other thing to make it privacy glass. And I changed the layout of the kitchen around a little bit, so we got this big built-in or constructed tiled sink under the window with a draining board. I should measure that up and make sure that's, if I make that 600 millimeters, that's one 600 mil tile cut down to 400 millimeters wide, so that'd be better. Yeah, so that's the design for the house. So, and the septic tank's to that end. So given there's a toilet up there, we're going to need 25 centimetres of fall from there to there to get proper flow. Anything less than that, we're likely to have clogged pipes and end up with like this house. So best to avoid that. Electrics, one breaker for that room, one breaker for the toilet, kitchen and hallway or foyer, one breaker for the lounge room, one breaker for the bedroom and laundry. Didn't show you that there's also, for the laundry there's also an outside door here. There'll be a water pump in there for the water to be pumped from the well. And the other thing I've got to add is a hand basin built onto the side of that little wall there, so you can wash your hands after going to the toilet. But showed Asra basically the bill of materials for these things, like I added up how many windows of each dimension and all that stuff, and he said the aluminium's going to work out cheaper. So okay, that's my preferred design anyway, because wood, you have to maintain it and look after it, otherwise the borers are going to get in it and deal with it. So I don't like using wood for construction around here. So this is what we're going with. There's probably other features in here I haven't told you about. A simple gable construction. It'll probably be a steeper pitch than that because they'll want to have more framework under the roof, but this was just to give them the idea of what was required. And then just a skillion at that end. Doesn't need windows, just ventilation that's protected from the rain. And that's about a bit less than 24 metres from there to there, so it's about the same length as our house, but it's sort of only one room wide instead of two rooms wide. But it's pretty damn nice. The other thing I provided for in the electrics here is I put in sockets up there in that bedroom slash workshop, lounge room and bedroom, in case later on air conditioning split system gets installed up there, but that's not going to happen initially. Now the other thing that's in this design that's not in the other one is the holes drilled through here. This is where the hoses go to gas bottles. The tall gas bottles will fit under there fine. They won't fit under that, but you can put the short ones under there. That's about 400 mils high. Up to the underside. Yeah, so this is for Bendy to live in, Now he is my currently 15-year-old stepson, but we're looking to get him out of the house so there's less arguments. So he can go and live in here and then come to Jubaedah for meals. But yeah, how many, well he'll be 16 by the time it's moved in, but how many 16-year-olds do you know that live in their own house? But I gather that guys are stacking bricks down there to make those neat. I'll go down and have a look. So there's brick stacking going on, been about that a long time, and there's rock delivery going on as well. Need rock for foundations. And new wheelbarrow, because the wheelbarrows around here have a hard life, as evidenced by my destroyed plastic one. But the metal corrodes rapidly. So I must consult with Asra about concrete mixes. Well, it's Friday lunchtime, and I guess I should think about putting together this week's video. I've been busy yesterday and today creating a document for this. Well, hang on, let's just, when the fridge turns on, it gives it power a bit of shock. I've been creating this document which is details the house. So I've got the front and rear views, then descriptions of the dimensions of all the rooms, then the detail for each room. So that's the detail for the first room at that end, with the view towards the east and the view towards the west, and then a bit more detail on the door at the east end. Then there's details about the bathroom and a couple of views of the bathroom, the details about the kitchen, and there's actually 3 views of the kitchen, and then details about the lounge room, a couple of views of the lounge room from the north and from the south, then details about the bedroom, the views from the north and the south, details about the utility room with views from the northwest, I guess, and the slightly west of south, and detail on the secondary toilet in there, then details on the foyer with what's in there in terms of switching and what have you, and ventilation, and the main front door with its windows either side. And I just realised I completely forgot one section out of this document. Gonna have to go and add on a final page, because I got details about the front porch. So I got the switchboard and the door at the west end, and saying that the drains for the water supply is via a pump in the utility room. Wastewater drain has to have a fall of 1% if it's 75mm or 100mm pipe, and for the sewer it also needs a fall of 1% using 100mm pipe, and we should use these sorts of unions to connect pipes into both of those drains, and specification for the roof saying it needs to be steel frame, good quality galvanised steel roof, well ventilated without letting birds and rodents in. Apart from that, it's up to them, and if they need to do additional ventilation, you could use a couple of these things because they're not terribly expensive. So I need to add one more page detailing the windows. Okay, got that final page written up and translated, and off we go to print. Over here. Doesn't take long. done. I'll add that to my stack over here. So that was page 26. So that should keep them going for a while until we need revisions, which is why I put a version number on here and a date so they can create revised versions and know to chuck away the old versions. But anyway, I've got to see what I got on video now and put together a video for this week.